Sylvester Stallone sits alone in a freezing apartment at 4 a.m., staring at a blank page in his typewriter when the darkest thought he's ever had crosses his mind. He starts typing what he thinks is his suicide note, but the words that come out don't say goodbye to the world. They create Rocky Balboa. What happens in the next 72 hours doesn't just save his life, it saves millions of others. This is the story of how Sylvester Stallone wrote himself back from the edge, how depression became the greatest screenplay ever written, and how the night he almost gave up became the night he gave the world its most enduring symbol of hope. New York City, December 1974, Thursday night, 4:13 a.m. The apartment is on West 48th Street, in Hell's Kitchen, 3rd floor walk up. One room, kitchenette in the corner, bathroom down the hall shared with 3 other apartments. Rent is $200 a month, and Stallone is 6 weeks behind. The eviction notice came yesterday, taped to the door. Pink paper, official city seal, 10 days to vacate, or the marshal comes with a court order and puts everything on the street. The apartment is freezing. December in New York. Temperature outside is 19 degrees. Inside isn't much warmer. The radiator stopped working 2 months ago. Landlord won't fix it until Stallone pays rent. Stallone can't pay rent until he books a job. Can't book a job because nobody's hiring. The circle keeps closing, getting tighter, suffocating. Stallone sits at a card table, pushed against the wall. The only furniture, except a mattress on the floor and a wooden chair he found on the street. On the table sits a typewriter, Smith Corona, manual, old, keys, sticks sometimes. Bought it at a pawn shop for $15 3 years ago when he still believed writing might be his way out. Believed he could create the roles nobody would give him. Believed talent and determination were enough. That belief is dying, maybe already dead. Hard to tell the difference between dying and dead when you're this cold, this hungry, this tired. Stallone is 28 years old, should be building something, should have momentum, should have hope. Instead, he's sitting in the dark at 4 a.m. because he can't sleep anymore. Hasn't really slept in weeks. Just lies on the mattress with his eyes closed, brain spinning, cycling through every failure, every rejection, every moment he disappointed someone. His father's voice, his teachers, casting directors, agents who stopped returning calls, friends who stopped believing, everyone who looked at him and saw someone who tried hard but wasn't good enough. He's wearing 3 layers, t-shirt, sweatshirt, jacket, all of them thin, all of them old, still shivering. Can see his breath in the apartment, like being outside, like living outside, which he might be soon. 10 days, then the marshal, then the street, then what? Shelter, bus station, phone call to his father, admitting defeat. That last option feels worse than freezing to death. On the table next to the typewriter sits a bottle, cheap whiskey, bottom shelf, $4.99. Stallone bought it yesterday with money he should have spent on food. Hasn't eaten in 2 days. Stomach stopped hurting yesterday. Bad sign, means his body is shutting down, conserving energy, preparing to fail. The bottle is half empty. Stallone has been drinking since midnight, not to celebrate, not for enjoyment, to numb, to quiet the voice in his head that keeps asking the same question. What's the point? The point of trying, the point of suffering, the point of believing in something nobody else believes in, the point of getting up every morning and pretending today might be different when every day is exactly the same. Rejection, poverty, failure, shame. Repeat. Stallone types 2 words. I am. Stops, stares at them. 2 words. Subject and verb. Beginning of a statement. Beginning of an identity. But he doesn't know how to finish it. I am what? I am nothing. I am nobody. I am failing. I am finished. He types, I am nothing. 3 words now. Complete sentence. Complete thought. Complete truth. He stares at it. The words blur. His eyes are wet, not crying, just leaking. Body releasing pressure, releasing the weight of carrying this failure around for 28 years. I am nothing. Is that true? Feels true. Casting directors treat him like nothing. Agents ignore him like he's nothing. His bank account has $41 in it. $41 between him and literal nothingness. And that $41 needs to last 10 days until eviction. Needs to cover food. Needs to cover transportation to auditions he won't get. Needs to cover the cost of pretending he still has a chance. Stallone drinks from the bottle. The whiskey burns. Good. Pain means feeling something. Pain means still alive. Still here. Still existing. Even if existing is pointless. He types again. I am nothing and nobody cares. 5 words. Still true. Still honest. His father doesn't care. Told him years ago he'd never be anything. Told him to get a real job. Stop embarrassing the family. Stop pretending. His mother cares maybe, but she's tired. Tired of hoping. Tired of watching him suffer. Tired of trying to believe when belief keeps getting punished. Stallone's mind goes to a dark place, darker than it's been before. He thinks about ending it, really ending it. Not metaphorically, not dramatically, just practically. He's cold, he's hungry, he's failing, he's out of options. Why keep going? What changes tomorrow that isn't happening today? What magical intervention arrives in the next 10 days that fixes everything? Nothing. Nothing changes. Nothing gets better. This is it. This is the life, suffering and rejection. Until you can't suffer anymore, then you stop. One way or another, you stop. He could walk to the window, open it. 3 floors up. Probably enough. Probably quick. Probably better than slowly freezing and starving and failing. At least it would be a decision. At least it would be taking control of something. At least it would end the waiting, the hoping, the disappointment. Stallone stands up, walks to the window, puts his hand on the frame. It's cold. Everything is cold. He looks down. The street is empty. 4 a.m. in Hell's Kitchen. Nobody watching. Nobody cares. Nobody would know until the landlord comes to evict him and finds something else. Instead, he stands there for a full minute, hand on the window, looking down, thinking, calculating, wondering if he has the courage, wondering if courage is the right word, wondering if giving up is actually the brave thing, the smart thing, the kind thing, to himself, to everyone who's tired of watching him fail. But he doesn't open the window. Something stops him. Not hope exactly, not belief, just curiosity maybe, or stubbornness, or the last ember of whatever kept him going this long. He doesn't know what it is, just knows he's not opening that window tonight. He walks back to the table, sits down, looks at the typewriter, looks at the words he wrote. I am nothing, and nobody cares. He should delete them, should start over, should write something positive, something hopeful, something that proves he's okay. But he doesn't, because they're true, and maybe truth is the only thing worth writing. He types again, but this time something shifts, some small adjustment in his brain, some tiny pivot in perspective. He types, He is nothing, and nobody cares. Changes the pronoun, first person to third person, and to he. Takes the pain and pushes it 6 inches away, makes it someone else's story, someone else's failure, someone else's failure, someone else's suffering, and suddenly, it's not about him anymore. It's about a character, a person who exists on paper, a person who can carry this pain, so Stallone doesn't have to carry all of it alone. He keeps typing. He is nothing, and nobody cares. He's 30 years old, should be something by now, should have accomplished something, should matter to someone. But he doesn't. He's a small-time boxer, not good enough to be great, not bad enough to quit, just stuck in the middle, fighting for $50 purses in clubs. Nobody watches, getting hit for money. That doesn't cover the damage. His face is broken. His hands are broken. His life is broken. Stallone stops, reads what he wrote. It's still his pain, still his failure, but it's wrapped in a character now, wrapped in a story. And stories have shape, stories have structure, stories have meaning, even when the pain doesn't. He types faster now. Nobody remembers his name. Nobody bets on him. Nobody believes in him. He's a bum. Everyone says it. His trainer, the other fighters, the people in his neighborhood, they look at him and see waste, see potential that never delivered, see a man who tried hard and still failed. Stallone's hands are shaking from cold, from alcohol, from emotion, but he keeps typing. The words are pouring now. Not planned, not outlined, just emerging, like they've been waiting inside him for years, and finally found the exit. He works as muscle for a loan shark because boxing doesn't pay enough, breaks thumbs, scares people, does things he hates because he needs to eat, needs shelter, needs to survive one more day, even though surviving feels pointless. This is his life. This is his suffering. But it's not. It's his life. The character's life. Rocky's life. The name appears on the page without Stallone consciously choosing it. Rocky, like the road, like the journey, like something hard and unbreakable and permanent. Stallone types all night, through 5 a.m., through 6 a.m., through sunrise, doesn't notice the light changing, doesn't notice his fingers going numb, doesn't notice anything except the story pouring out. Rocky's story, the small-time boxer who gets one shot, one chance, one opportunity to prove he's not just another bum from the neighborhood. The story writes itself. Rocky gets offered a fight with the heavyweight champion, exhibition match. Publicity stunt. Nobody thinks Rocky has a chance. Nobody thinks it matters, but Rocky takes it because it's his one shot at being remembered, being seen, being something more than nothing. And Rocky doesn't expect to win, knows he can't win. The champion is too good, too fast, too strong. But Rocky has one goal: go the distance, last all 15 rounds, prove he can take the punishment, prove he's not a bum, prove he belongs in the ring with the champion, even if he loses. Stallone types for 20 hours straight, doesn't eat, doesn't sleep, just types. The story flows like it's been waiting forever, like it's not being created, but discovered. Like Rocky existed somewhere, and Stallone is just the channel, the translator, the person brave enough or desperate enough to let the pain become words. By Friday evening, he has 90 pages, a rough draft, messy, filled with typos, scenes that don't connect, dialogue that needs work, but it's complete, beginning, middle, end. A story about a man who has nothing, gets one chance, and doesn't waste it, Even if he loses, even if nobody remembers, he shows up. He goes the distance. He proves something to himself. Stallone stops typing, leans back in the chair. His back aches. His fingers are cramping. His head is pounding. But something else is happening. Something he hasn't felt in months, maybe years. Hope, small, fragile, barely there, but present, like a pilot light that didn't go out completely. He reads through what he wrote, sees himself in every line, sees his pain in Rocky's pain, sees his failure in Rocky's failure, but he also sees something else. He sees that failure isn't the end of the story, it's the middle. The part before the chance, before the opportunity, before the choice to keep going or give up. Rocky chooses to keep going, gets beaten, gets bloodied, gets knocked down, but gets back up, keeps fighting, not to win, just to survive, just to prove surviving matters. And suddenly Stallone understands. He didn't write a suicide note. He wrote the opposite. He wrote a survival manual. He wrote instructions for how to keep living when living feels impossible. He wrote proof that showing up matters even when you lose, that going the distance matters even if nobody's watching, that refusing to quit is its own kind of victory. Stallone sleeps for 14 hours, Saturday, most of Sunday. When he wakes up, the script is still there, still real. He reads it again. It's good, really good, raw and honest and real in ways scripts usually aren't. It's not polished, not professional, but it's true. And truth is what makes stories matter. Monday morning, Stallone takes the script to every agent, every producer, every contact he has. Most reject it immediately. Boxing movies don't make money. The protagonist is a loser. Nobody wants to watch a movie about a loser. But Stallone keeps pushing, keeps submitting, keeps believing that someone will see what he sees, will understand what this story is really about. 3 months later, United Artists bites. They want the script. They offer money, real money, life-changing money, but they want a real actor. Ryan O'Neal, Burt Reynolds, someone bankable, not Stallone. And Stallone says no, because if someone else plays Rocky, it doesn't work, doesn't mean anything. Rocky is him, his pain, his survival, his proof that getting knocked down doesn't mean staying down. If someone else plays Rocky, it's just a movie, just entertainment. But if Stallone plays Rocky, it's testimony, it's transformation, it's pain turned into purpose. The studio eventually agrees. Tiny budget, Stallone makes almost nothing, but he's Rocky, and Rocky is him. And the movie gets made. November 1976, Rocky premieres. Critics love it. Audiences love it. The word of mouth spreads. Small movie becomes phenomenon. Phenomenon becomes cultural moment. Cultural moment becomes proof that underdog stories matter, that pain matters, that survival matters. April 1977, Academy Awards. Rocky wins Best Picture, wins Best Director, gets nominated for Best Actor. Stallone stands on stage holding the Oscar, thinking about the night he almost gave up, the night he sat at a typewriter, thinking about ending his life, the night he typed, "I am nothing," and then changed it to "He is nothing," and created Rocky instead. The movie makes $225 million, becomes the highest grossing film of 1976, makes Stallone a star, changes his life completely, but more than that, it changes other lives, millions of lives. The letters start arriving, thousands of letters, then tens of thousands, from people who watched Rocky and felt seen, felt understood, felt like someone finally made a movie about them, about their struggles, about their failures, about their refusal to quit, even when quitting makes sense. One letter arrives in 1978 from a man in Ohio. The letter says, "I watched Rocky on December 15th, 1977. That was supposed to be the last movie I ever watched. I had pills in my pocket, a plan. I was going to go home after the movie and end it. But watching Rocky go the distance, watching him refuse to quit, even though he was losing, something changed. I thought if he can last 15 rounds, I can last one more day." Then one more day became one more week, then one more month. Now it's been a year. I have a job. I met someone. I'm still here. And I'm writing to say thank you. You saved my life. You didn't know you were doing it, but you did. Stallone reads that letter and cries, really cries, because he understands that the night he almost gave up, the night he started typing what he thought was a suicide note, he was actually writing a message to everyone else who feels that way, was writing proof that the pain doesn't have to be the end, can be the beginning, can be the fuel that creates something meaningful. He writes back to the man, tells him the truth, tells him about December 1974, about 4 a.m. in a freezing apartment, about the bottle of whiskey, and the blank page, and the moment he almost opened the window, tells him that Rocky saved his life too, that creating Rocky was how he survived, that turning his pain into story was the only thing that made the pain bearable. The man writes back, "So we saved each other, you by writing it, me by watching it. That's what art does, connects pain to pain, suffering to suffering, survival to survival." Stallone keeps every letter, thousands of them. Letters from people who were about to give up and didn't. Letters from people who felt like nothing and realized there's something. Letters from people who saw Rocky and understood it's not about winning, it's about showing up, about going the distance, about proving you're not just another bum, about refusing to let the pain write the ending. Years pass, decades pass. Rocky becomes legend, becomes symbol, becomes cultural touchstone. 5 sequels, 3 Creed films, merchandise, legacy. The character outlives the movie, becomes bigger than entertainment, becomes philosophy, becomes proof that you don't have to win to matter, just have to survive, just have to keep going. But nobody knows the origin story. Not really. Nobody knows about December 1974, about 4 a.m., about the suicide note that became a screenplay, about the man who was nothing creating a character who proved nothing can become something. Stallone doesn't talk about it, doesn't use it for publicity, doesn't exploit the pain, keeps it private, sacred, between him and the people who needed Rocky, the same way he needed Rocky, between survivors, between people who understand that sometimes creating something is the only way to stop destroying yourself. 40 years after that night, a journalist asks Stallone about Rocky's origin, about where the character came from, about what inspired him. Stallone is quiet for a long time, then says, "Rocky came from the darkest place I've ever been, the place where you seriously consider not being here anymore, the place where pain is so overwhelming you'd do anything to make it stop. I was there. December 1974. I was really there. And I started typing what I thought was a goodbye, but it became a hello, became an introduction to Rocky, to hope, to the idea that maybe surviving the pain is the point, that maybe going the distance matters, even if you lose." The journalist asks, "Did writing Rocky save your life?" Stallone says, yes. And then Rocky saved millions of other lives. People who needed to see someone refuse to quit, someone keep getting up, someone prove that being knocked down isn't the same as being knocked out. That's not a movie. That's a mission. That's a responsibility. That's what happens when you turn your worst moment into art. It stops being just about you, becomes about everyone who's ever felt that way. The journalist asks, do you still have the original script, the one you wrote in 1974? Stallone nods. In a safe. Haven't looked at it in years, but I know it's there. Know that those pages saved me. Know that the nights I spent typing instead of giving up were the most important nights of my life. Not the Oscar night, not the premiere. Those nights alone with the typewriter, those were the nights that mattered. The journalist asks one more question. What would you say to someone who's in that dark place right now, who's typing their own suicide note? Stallone looks directly at the camera, says change the pronoun. That's all. Change he is or she is. Take the pain and push it 6 inches away. Make it a character. Make it a story. Make it something outside yourself, because once it's outside, it has shape, has structure, too has possibility, and maybe, just maybe, that story becomes the thing that saves you, becomes the thing that saves someone else, becomes proof that the darkest night can birth the brightest morning. You just have to survive until sunrise. Just have to keep typing, keep creating. The distance matters. Rocky taught me that, and Rocky only exists because I lasted one more night. Just one. That's all it takes sometimes. One more night, then one more. Then suddenly you've gone the distance without realizing it. 48 years after that night, in Hell's Kitchen. 48 years after the suicide note became Rocky. The movie still plays. The character still matters. The message still resonates. Because pain doesn't expire, doesn't become outdated. Every generation has people sitting in dark rooms at 4 a.m. wondering if surviving is worth it. And Rocky is the answer. Not a perfect answer, not a complete answer, but an answer. Keep going. Go the distance. Show up. Survive. Prove you're not just another bum. Prove that nothing can become something. Prove that the worst night of your life can become the beginning of the best thing you ever create. Sylvester Stallone typed, I am nothing, and changed it to he is nothing, and saved his own life, then saved millions more. That's not Hollywood magic. That's alchemy. That's transformation. That's what happens when you refuse to let the pain write the ending. What story are you not writing? What pain are you carrying that could become someone else's salvation? What suicide note could become someone's survival manual if you just changed the pronoun? Because Rocky didn't come from strength, came from weakness, from desperation, from the edge of the window, from the darkest place. And that's why Rocky matters. Because it's honest. Because it's true. Because it's proof that you don't have to be strong to survive. Just have to keep typing, keep creating, keep going. One more round. One more page. One more night. That's the distance. And going the distance is everything.